Look, there's no perfect system to achieving your goals, but there are better systems. In this video, I want to share with you the exact goal setting system that I've been using to consistently achieve 50 to 70% of my goals. In the past 2 weeks, I've even been achieving 60 to 80% of my goals. And I want to make something very clear. If you're accomplishing 100% of your goals, that means that you're not reaching high enough. You're actually leaving a bunch of improvement off the table. If you're achieving 50 to 70% of your goals, that means that you're improving and you still have lots to improve. You're putting in the work, you're achieving a lot of the goals, but you're also setting them high enough so that you're actually getting to a higher level. So in my opinion, the best range is between 50 and 70%. So this basically means if you set 10 goals, then you're going to be accomplishing 5 to 7 of them. Like I said earlier, this means that you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, but you also are still improving. You still have more to improve. And you're actually going to reach the next levels of your life faster than if you were just achieving 100% of your goals. And if you want to skip the entire system and you just want to start achieving your goals that you set for this week, I highly recommend you check out Improvement Club. It's a top link in the description, but more about that later. So, I suggest you get something to write some notes on, and let's start. Alright, so how to achieve your most ambitious goals. So, this video is going to be split up into 3 simple steps. Number 1, we're just going to go over setting the right goals. Then, step 2, we're going to go over the full system. So again, this is the exact system that I've been using for over 2 years now. And step 3, we're going to talk about accountability, something I personally believe is very undervalued in the self-improvement space. So, if you follow these steps, you are very likely to have a goal achievement rate of 50 to 80%. 50 to 70%, in my opinion, is the best. So, like I said earlier in this video, if you set 10 goals, then you're achieving 5 to 7. This means you're putting in the work while still improving and leveling up. So, let's start with step 1, setting the right goals. So, you have two things here to keep in mind. First off, make sure they're your own goals. So do you only want to achieve this because someone else achieved it? So, it's okay if you want the same things as someone else, but it shouldn't be because they have it, right? Oh, I want this certain car. Okay. Is it because someone else has it? Or is it just because you actually want it, right? So make sure that you actually want the thing. So don't live someone else's life. Somebody says you can't achieve something, it's because they don't believe they could achieve it. Now this is just related, but at the same time, if you set your goals, some people might say that you can't achieve certain things. That doesn't mean you can't achieve it. That just means they think that they wouldn't be able to achieve it, all right? Now this next point I have here is use the SMART framework. Now this is optional, but I think it is pretty useful. Just a quick recap if you don't know what the SMART framework is. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So the most important here is just make sure your goals are specific and relevant to the direction you want to take in your life. Napoleon Hill said a goal is a dream with a deadline. So set a deadline for your goals, otherwise they're just dreams. So this is just some basic information to remember when you're setting goals, and it'll lead into the system that we're going to cover. So with that being said, let's move on to step 2, which is the full system. So basically, this is how I've been planning my goals, how I've been achieving my goals for the past 2 years. We start out with the annual goals, and then those get split down into quarterly goals, which then get split down to monthly goals, and then the monthly goals become the weekly goals. So basically, you're taking, your big goals for the year or whatever the time frame is, and you're just breaking it down into smaller steps. That's the easiest way to achieve your goals, in my opinion, because then every single day a simple small task to do, right? You know what to do. You just need to achieve a small task, and those add up to eventually reaching your bigger goals. So like I just said, your largest goals are broken down into smaller parts, which makes it easier to achieve them, keep track of progress, stay motivated, right? So, in my opinion, quarterly goals are definitely optional if you're going from the annual goals all the way down to the weekly goals. You can skip quarterly because you can just split up the annual goals into 12 steps, right? And then the monthly goals will become the weekly goals. So for an example, we have read 24 books here. That's just an example goal. Your monthly goal would be read 2 books, right? Because 2 times 12 is 24. And so that means your weekly goals would be around half a book. You'd have to read half a book each week. Sorry, I just need some water. Another example is lose 20 pounds. So in the month, you'd have to lose 1 to 2 pounds. And then in the week, you would have to lose half a pound. So I know I went over the quarterly goals pretty fast, but basically a quarterly goal is just splitting up the year into 4 parts. So if it's read 24 books, it becomes read 6 books in the quarter. And if it's lose 20 pounds, it would be lose 5 pounds in the quarter. So a quarterly goal is every 3 months. So large goals are great, but the smaller goals really determine where your life goes. And I want to place an emphasis on this. I think that the most important ones are actually just monthly goals and weekly goals. You know, if you want to set goals for the year, that's fine, but not everyone wants to, and you don't have to. But you should set goals each month because that's pretty short of a time frame, and definitely each week you want to make sure you're actually improving, actually getting where you want to be in life, right? So, how many goals should you achieve? Well, aim for 50 to 70% of an achievement rate. I know I've already mentioned this a few times, but I just want to get it ingrained into your brain because this is how this system works. But this basically means if you set 10 goals for the week, you should achieve 5 to 7. So with this system, you can break the large goals into simple steps to complete each day. And the last thing is to stop procrastinating and go to the task that you need to do. So this is a great system. I think it's really good, but at the end of the day, only you can achieve your goals. And if you don't actually work on them, they're not going to get accomplished, right? It's really simple, but we always look up all these hacks, always look up all these videos on the exact systems to use. This is the exact system I use, but I also need to actually work on the goals. I need to be disciplined. I need to stick to my habits. I need to get up every single day and actually work towards them. So something that can help with that is step 3, which is accountability. After you've set the right goals and built the system to achieve them, there's one more thing. How are you going to hold yourself accountable? So option 1 is stick to your goals by yourself. With this option, you are relying on motivation and self-discipline. And I want to stress that this is completely fine. Like if you just want to work on your goals by yourself, of course, that's fine, right? You know, can you progress on your self-improvement journey by yourself? Of course. But you would progress a lot faster if you progress with other people on their self-improvement journeys. If you surround yourself with people who are, like-minded, who are doing the same things, who are actively improving, you will improve so much more because you'll have more energy, you'll have more discipline, you'll want to, tell the other people that you achieved what you said you would achieve, right? And so that brings us to option 2, which is tell others about your goals. With this option, you're way more likely to achieve your goals. If you tell the right people about your goals, you'll have so much more motivation and discipline because you want to show that you did what you said you were going to do. So with both options, you need discipline. Only you can achieve your goals. However, imagine if you told your best friend, who's actually into the same things as you, about your goal and when you want to achieve it. You would want to tell them that you achieved it, which increases your chances of actually doing it by a lot. So if I told my best friend that I'm going to go for a bike ride, well, I'm probably going to go for a bike ride because I'll want to tell him that I went for a bike ride, right? So should you tell anyone about your goals? The answer is no. Tell people who are interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, this whole thing of, wanting to show the people that you did what you said you would do doesn't really work. So if you tell anyone, you won't have real accountability and you're likely to work less on your goal, right? So for example, if you told someone who isn't interested in going to the gym at all that you're going to try to gain a certain amount of muscle, they won't care. Surely they'll say that you should do it, but you don't get real accountability. They really don't care if you do or not, right? You're not going to go to the gym thinking, I better do this because then I can tell him that I did it, right? Because you'll pick up on the fact that, oh, he doesn't really care. but then that means that you might slack off because, you know, it's not as big of a deal if you do it or not, because you have no one to tell, right? But now imagine you tell your friend who loves going to the gym. He's going to say that you should do it, and he'll actually care if you do or not, because he knows that it's good for you. When you're in the gym, you'll be motivated to work hard because you know that there's someone else improving on the same thing as you. You want to tell him about your progress. This is why accountability is so important if you find the right people. So how to tell the right person? Sorry, I wrote this a little bit wrong, but basically, how do you determine whether or not the person is the right person to talk about your goals with? Well, I put down 3 questions here. Of course, there's more, but basically, you can say, is this person doing similar things? Are they actually interested or just being nice? And if you tell them something, do you want to do it more? So the people around you, if you tell them about your goals, do you want to actually do them more? Do you get more motivated because you told them? If you don't, then they're probably not the right people to tell your goals. And so this is exactly why I created Improvement Club. So it's a tight accountability focused community. It's actually going to have a max of 20 members. And basically every week we hop on a group call to talk about what we achieved in the past week, what we want to improve on, and what we want to accomplish in the next week. I created it so that you can have best chance at achieving your goals. The goal setting system I laid out in this video breaks down your bigger goals into weekly goals. This group is exactly how you can stay accountable on those weekly goals. If you want to be one of those 20 members, you can find more info to the top link in the description. Again, there's a max of 20 members, so if you want to be one of the first people, you might want to go check it out. But with that being said, that is the entire goal setting system that I use. So, just a quick recap. You start with your annual goals, break them down into quarterly goals, break those down into monthly goals, break those down into weekly goals. And then, from your weekly goals, you find the right people to tell about them to have weekly accountability. And if you want a simple way to do that, just join Improvement Club. It's where we're going to have weekly accountability calls directly with me. And, we can discuss what you actually accomplished, what you want to accomplish in the next week, and we'll kind of hold each other accountable throughout the week on those things. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I spent a lot of time making it, trying to make it good, and go check out Improvement Club. With that being said, as always, you're capable, keep improving.